Hey guys, welcome back. Better Than a Let's Play episode 19, MoonQuest edition. I'm Enigmaeus, and today we are all over the place. This is another one of those episodes where I had to write a list so that I didn't forget everything that we've been doing, because it's been a lot. It all started when I decided I wanted to get a lock on the building materials that we were going to take to the moon with us. We're still preparing. That's our kind of long-term focus, is getting to the moon, and then we're taking apart the process bit by bit and making sure we're prepared. In this case, I was thinking about building materials because once we get to the moon, we're kind of limited in terms of what we have access to, and all of it is gray. So I wanted to make sure, if I wanted something other than gray moon materials, that I brought what I was going to need. And one of those key things was glass. You've seen perhaps that I have an affinity for structures involving glass of some sorts. But in this case, it's primarily for the exploding cow factory, because there's not much point having an exploding cow factory if you can't watch it. That's sort of half the fun. And by encasing it in glass, you can still watch it, but it'll allow me to contain the drops to some extent. Why waste all that beef and leather when we can just kind of contain it in glass and gather it all up? Hopefully automatically. I haven't got that completely sorted yet, but you get the idea. We've got a plan, and it involved glass, and the amount of glass that we needed was such that I didn't really want to be digging up sand and smelting it, so I decided to make tools with the auto-smelting bit on them so that I don't have to worry about it. And the first one that we came up with was Sandholio. This is the excavator from Tinker's Construct. It's just like a shovel, except it digs in a 3x3 square. And it's upgraded with auto-smelt and auto-repair, so that if I'm not too greedy in terms of how many things I'm digging up, I should never have to make another one of these. It should be good to go all the time. It's reinforced too, comes from the materials that I made it out of, which was cobalt for the head, blue slime for the handle, I think, manulin for the binding, and paper for something else, because I wanted the extra modifier slot. So if you're not familiar with Tinker's Construct and how to build things in the different materials, I would love to be able to explain it to you in more detail, but it's just too much for this kind of video. If you want like a mini guide for Tinker's Construct, leave a comment below, and if it looks like it's a popular thing that people want, then I'll take it on. By all means, it's not a big deal. But for today, I'm just kind of giving you the overview of what's in it. So cobalt head, the least I could do, I think, is just look at the different components. It was a cobalt head, paper, large binding thing here, manulin plate, and a blue slime rod was what I used for the excavator. And the cobble derper is the hammer that I made. Again, the same idea is it will allow me to excavate faster, potentially gather materials, but mostly just excavate without having to drain the power in my power fist, because once this thing gets depleted, I basically have to charge it in a machine, because nothing else I do charges it fast enough. So the cobble derper is, we'll take a look at the template here. I used a paper hammerhead, which that's why it's white. It's made out of paper, but I used cobalt on either side because it's faster, and I used I think a green slime handle, or maybe a blue slime handle. Either way, a slime handle, probably a blue one, because that's what I had the stuff made out of. I see green here and it's confusing me. The modifiers that I used are actually really straightforward. Let me get rid of this gelatinous slime. To make the slime stuff, you have to go through kind of a process. You're looking to make slime crystals, and then this is the material that you make the slime tool components out of. And this is made by smelting slimy mud. And to make slimy mud of this particular kind, to make this slime crystal, you take 4 gelatinous slime, a dirt, and a sand, and it makes you the slimy mud. Actually went all the way to a slime island, one of the slime islands way up in the sky, and dug up a bunch of congealed slime. I think it'd be easier. I want to make sure that I've got the right name here, even though you can see it one. Yeah, congealed blue slime. It's actually a material on the slime island that you can dig up, and you can convert it. You take one of these guys and you put it in a crafting grid, and it'll give you 4 blue orbs like this. So compared to farming slimes, this is much faster if you can just dig up a bunch of this, and then you make your slimy mud, and then you smelt your slimy mud, you get the crystals. So that's the thing. The moss is actually very easy to make Can we get at least a recipe? I dug up all of the mossy stone from the monster spawner areas in the dungeons that we were looking around when we were looking for the stuff for the soul shards to make the cow spawner. I dug up all of the mossy stone and then converted it into balls of moss this way. The recipe is 9 of mossy blocks something. Mossy stone or mossy stone bricks. They're interchangeable. Makes a ball of moss. If you don't want to do it that way, you can actually make your own moss stone by combining a bucket of water with 8 cobblestone. You get the bucket back and blam, 8 moss stone. So if you don't want to go looking for a dungeon, this is the easiest way to get moss stone. And then you take this, you make your balls of moss, and then you use this as the augment for your tools. 4 balls will get you auto repair 4. And we had 4 slots on the tool because we used a paper component in each of the tools. Then I had to use a diamond and a gold block to add another repair slot, or another modifier slot. Shut up, pigman. I don't want to hear anything from you. You add a diamond and a gold block as a modifier, diamond and a gold block to your tool. Gives you another slot. In the case of Sandolio, I used that to make a, we're just going to go crystal, a lava crystal, which is a bucket of lava, blaze rods, and fire charges, which is blaze powder, gunpowder, coal. So the key thing is lava crystal. You use that as the modifier on the tool. That's what gives you the auto smelt. You just need to make 1 lava crystal. It's not multiple tiers like the auto repair. 1 on it, auto smelt, job done. I was in the nether anyways, looking for the cobalt and ardite that we use. We can use them individually. They've got their own properties you can find out about in the Tinker's Construct books. These guys here. Or you can combine them to make nanulin, which is the top tier nether alloy, which is its own other set of properties. You get what I'm saying. Trying not to get too deep into the Tinker's Construct stuff. And then the haste came from redstone, applying redstone onto the cobble derper, our hammer, just so that it digs that much faster, because time is money, or dirt, or something. And actually this belongs in here, so we're just going to leave it there. So that was the tools, and then we took them to the sand mountain and dug and dug and dug and dug. It's so much more relaxing when you realize that the sand you're digging, you can just dig and it's all glass, and you don't have to take it anywhere and smelt it. It's done. You're skipping that one nasty step. So that was a big part of the time that I spent, was actually gathering the materials to make the tools so that I could go and dig this stuff. And yeah, so we got the glass from the desert, and then it came time to think about other materials. And I got it in my head, first of all, that I didn't want to have, like I say, all the moon materials. And I had all this basalt cobblestone that I kind of wanted to convert to just basalt, and then maybe carve some stuff out of it with the chisel mod. And again, I ran into the same problem. So even after I went through all this trouble to get the tools to dig the sand to convert it to glass, because I didn't want to dick around with smelting, I wound up having to come up with a solution to smelt as much stuff as possible in the least space possible. And that's what brought me to our newest, latest, greatest machine. We got the clouds passing through here. Don't be alarmed, it's just the clouds. The crusher actually was a one machine that I had to make. It's kind of like a pulverizer or a macerator. You put materials in here, you get dust out. I needed to make diamond dust for one of these upgrades, and as far as I could tell, this was the only machine that would do it. So I figured, why not? It's not that big of a deal. It wasn't expensive to make. We can take a brief look at the crusher recipe here, which is a couple of buckets of lava. You get the buckets back, 4 redstone, a couple of control circuits. We've made these before, and the steel casing we made before, so nothing crazy. Hooked it up to my thing, ground up my 2 diamonds, and that was that. And then I made this guy. This is the Elite Factory for smelting. You have 7 slots where you can put things to be smelted, and then they come down here, and you can configure it to eject stuff to other places, auto sort, configuration, where do you want it to put stuff, do you want it to go out a particular color, eject off or on, all this other stuff. And then I'm using it to smelt basalt, but this elite factory, it's not just a block, it's not just a thing that you make out of base materials. You start out by making, in this case, a smelter, and then you upgrade it to another kind of factory, the basic factory. You can see here, this is a basic factory, and if you hold shift, this is for the smelting type. You also have an enriching factory, a crushing factory, a compressing factory, a combining factory, a purifying factory, and an injecting factory. So lots of different. We did the smelting one. So to make one of these guys, the first tier factory, you take your first smelter that you made, which was, we made the smelter, right? Very, very simple recipe: steel casing, control circuits, cobblestone, and glass. And then you take that and you put it with 2 enriched alloy, 2 gold dust, and 4 control circuits, gets you the basic factory. And then you take the basic factory and you put it in a recipe with 2 enriched alloy, 4 more control circuits, and the 2 diamond dust. That's why we made the crusher. You get the advanced factory. And then lastly, the elite factory for smelting. You take the advanced factory with 2 enriched alloy, 4 control circuits, and then these atomic cores, which is diamond, osmium dust, pulverized obsidian, or you can put the obsidian in the crusher and get the dirty obsidian dust or whatever, and the enriched alloy. So a couple more diamonds, some osmium, some obsidian, and more of the enriched alloy makes the elite factory that allows us to smelt 7 stacks of whatever at a time. Do you see what I'm saying? All we wanted was some glass and building materials, and now we're crossing the world looking for slime islands and building 4 tiers of factory blocks. I don't regret it though, because now we can smelt a lot more. It gives us another layer of smelting power on top of whatever we can get from Sandholio. It's just, sometimes I just confuse myself how I get dragged into these things. Like I say, I'm going to kind of take a look around, see what I can make out of this with the chisel to make it look pretty. And then we've got our glass. I've actually... we disappeared into the wall. I've set up some chests here that correspond to the maximum carrying capacity of the rocket ship. You can see we've got all of the glass that I dug up. We've got all kind of, we've got some of these we're going to be taking out. The stone fluid pipe I don't think we'll need. We've got tools. We've got fluid ducts. You would probably be using the mechanical pipe if you don't have thermal expansion. I'm using thermal expansion, so I have thermal ducts. Or sorry, fluid ducts. A couple of different choices in wiring. The pump I don't think we need anymore because I'm using thermal expansion, but you might want to bring that, or the Buildcraft pump that we showed in the other thing, whatever you like. I've got 5 oxygen tanks, 2 of which I'll be wearing when we take off for the moon. Some buckets, some trees, and some wheat to plant as a backup oxygen source. We're not going to need it, but we're just going to say that we have it because you never know. A tank for giggles. Pretend that this tank is full of water and this tank isn't here if you're not using thermal expansion. These 2. We've got our soul cages. We've got 2 now, and I've got 2 cow shards, so we can get 2 batches of cows going at once. Oxygen pipe, bone meal to help things grow, and dirt to plant things in, and also for nerd poles. And then over here, this is also, we would have room for whatever is in here in addition to the double chest. We've got our 2 electrolytic separators, our 2 hydrogen generators. We'll talk about this next. A cargo unloader, because I don't know if we'll need it on the moon. Our advanced energy cube to kickstart our machines. Some glowstone torches that I made. These are actually, they're not difficult to make. It's just glowstone and a stick to make 4. I hit up a bunch of glowstone clusters when I was in the nether. I've still got glowstone left over after I made 2 stacks. And here the soul shard cow. We're getting there. We're getting there. This is our loader. I made this. We talked about this before. We had the fuel loader, and then I said we have a block that we have to use to load the items into the rocket, as far as I understand it. So I made that, and I guess we put items in here, and we power it, and we hit load items, and it'll go into the rocket. Really, really simple. I decided to run some wire out here for both of these machines. I had originally planned on just putting a battery in this guy to power him up and get him to load the fuel. But with two machines here, I just said screw it, and I ran some wires. Now, are we there yet? The last thing that I wanted to talk about was the blast-resistant blocks that I made. Now, on the moon, apparently there are meteorites that can crash down, and occasionally they can do damage to whatever they hit. Basically, they make little craters and whatnot. And I wanted to do something to protect our structures from that, because first of all, if we've got our own facility structures and they're sealed for oxygen and stuff like that, and we get a hole in it, that could be problematic. Even worse if it somehow manages to damage some machines. With the cow factory, if we should happen to get a meteorite crashing through the ceiling of that and dislodging one of the spawners, that could also be a problem if I don't get back to it, if I don't notice it in time and it despawns, because finding spawners to make spawners is not exactly easy. So I decided to start making some advanced blast walls, and we're going to set up a system. It's not just going to be a layer of advanced blast walls. We're going to set up a system to reduce the likelihood of meteors crashing through important parts of our structures by using this as part of a roof, and then we'll have some layers set up to, you know, absorb stuff. These are not cheap, I have to say. 2 of these advanced blast walls is 5 steel ingots and 1 of these advanced frames. The advanced frame is a block of steel, so 9 pieces of steel to make a block of steel, and then 4 more steel ingots to make 16 advanced frames. So you get a pretty good yield out of these. I made a full stack of advanced frames, so I used 4 blocks of steel plus 16 for these guys in order to make the advanced blast wall, which is the highest blast resistance I could find. I don't know if there's better. I believe these are actually from the ballistics mod, the ICBM mod, for protection against missiles, and I'm hoping that it works for protection against meteorites on the moon. I'm going to be bringing more of these. This isn't enough. This is sort of one of the final things before I do the final checklist, is to make sure I have probably, I'm going to say, a hell of a lot more. That's the specific answer, is a hell of a lot more than what we've got now, just to cover the whole cow factory as large as I had planned. To make the cow factory with 1 layer of these blast walls would have been 4 stacks. Yeah, that's why I'm saying a hell of a lot more. I might rework the original design or something else, but one way or the other, that's a lot. That's what I've been up to. Can you imagine? Oh, one other thing, and this is for Nick and all the other people who have added NPS to the mod pack. Since when I realized we did the oil extraction thing, and I talked about it, forgetting most people wouldn't have thermal expansion, I'm trying not to talk too much about mods that aren't in the MoonQuest pack. But this is just too neat of a trick to pass up, using very inexpensive means to get around with the modular power suits we have. There we go. On my power fist, I have the railgun, and it won't tell me what materials went into it. I can tell you it's not super expensive given how powerful it is. The main thing about the railgun is that it uses a lot of energy if you're using a lot, and it also can potentially generate a lot of heat. You can see here I can adjust the voltage. The higher the voltage, the more damage, the more heat it generates, and also the more knockback it has. When you fire it, it pushes you back. That's important. That's one key tip. The other thing is the glider attachment. Tack on some wings to turn downward into forward momentum. Press sneak plus forward while falling to activate. Also, very inexpensive to make an ad. It's like 2 glider things, but my recipes aren't working for NPS right now. I can't show you. Just glider wings. Just check out the glider, what it takes to add. Using those 2 things, if I face downward with the power glove set to use the railgun and shoot, say, 3 or 4 times, the knockback pushes me up in the air, switch to something that is not the power glove, because anytime you have the power glove activated off your hotbar like that, when you can see it on the screen, it slows you down. So you don't want that in this particular situation. So we switch to anything that's not the power glove, and then we look forward, and we're holding shift. You have to hold shift, and we're pressing forward, and look at how fast we're moving. This is how I've been getting around. You have the airship. If you don't have modular power suits, it's not like you can't get to the places that I've been going. It just means that you're not necessarily going to be able to get there as fast. If you have modular power suits installed, and like me, haven't gotten around to gathering the materials for all of the proper flight components, this is a damn fine way to get around. You can just see, even though you can't see a landscape because we're just flying over the ocean, you can see how quickly the number is going down. We're approaching the clouds. You can see it can't even load stuff fast enough. This is a great way to find out where the dungeons are. You can see this is our slime island that we were on, digging around for exploration, for getting around, for finding stuff, for returning to areas that have useful things. I don't think I've ever experienced anything that's quite so fun or inexpensive for what you get. See, we lost a bit of altitude, so now we're flying again. We just push ourselves up a little bit farther and carry on. So maybe the airship mod not working as well as I might have hoped was a bit of a blessing, because this is a lot of fun, especially when you get close to something you could actually fly around. Generally mountains and things where you really get the sense of how fast you're flying. Sort of like, we'll come in here, we'll go around the side, actually give ourselves a little bit more juice. And you can imagine if you were down there walking, how long it would take you to cover the distance that we're covering just by flying around with the glider and using our railgun to give us altitude. So that's, I wanted to point it out. Like I say, it's great if you're using MPS, and also people wondering why they don't see a working airship, except for the one down there that's never moved. I thought I saw a creeper. Also, if you're going to land like that, you probably want to make sure that you've got the shock absorbers installed. I could have sworn I saw green in here that would indicate, or maybe it was just those guys. Alright, so I'm going to keep carrying on here. I need to mine up a bunch more iron so that we can continue making the blast resistant blocks. And then I need to go through and make sure that our inventory of machines that we're going to be bringing with us, particularly oxygen-related machines, are going to be up to the task for what we need it to do. And then we need to double-check, make sure that the Mistcraft books are going to work as we expected them to. So, again, leave your comments and feedback below. I always appreciate comments and feedback. If you want to be notified when I add the next video in this or any other series, you can always subscribe to my channel and or follow me on Twitter at Enigmius1 or on Google plus Enigmius1. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.